Greetings from rainy and dreary South Carolina. I just want to give a little bit of a preview for this upcoming Indiana Fever versus Dallas Wings game. Obviously, it looks like we're not going to have Caitlin Clark again, but it does look like she's coming back soon, so that cannot come soon enough. We're waiting and counting down the days and all that good stuff, so need to have her back. But I liked what I saw against the Sky. Now, granted, the Sky are a trash team, so it's hard to say how this game's going to go. We've played some pretty bad games against Dallas and still won with and without Caitlin. Or do we have Caitlin for any of those games? Hell, I can't remember at this point. She's been in and out of the lineup so much because they can't get it figured out, or couldn't get it figured out. Hopefully they're getting it figured out this time, but it's hard to say. I mean, if they keep this wide open, passing the ball around lineup with, Natasha and Aaliyah and Lexi and Sophie and Kelsey on the floor at once, and then, subbing in, Chloe Bibby and Michaela Timpson, I could see us, doing some really good things provided our shots fall and provided we can, take it to the rim when our outside shots aren't falling for the moment. So, like I said, it's hard to say. Obviously, Paige Beckers is, an amazing talent. Is going to be an amazing star. I think they're kind of hyping her up a little bit much, trying to put her on Caitlin Clark's level right now, compared to what Caitlin was as a rookie. She's not there, but she might be there. Who knows? She does flop quite a bit, but so does the whole league. Kelsey Plum had a ridiculous flop against us, and the other day she stuck her foot out, she tripped somebody, which is about the most chicken shit play you can do in any sport. So, not a fan of that. I don't know. To me, she's one of the more. She's really, really trying to put her name up there with some of the most unlikable players in the league. Between her comments and just her overall attitude, it's like. And I think she's overrated as a player. I'm not saying she's bad. She obviously has a lot of skill, but you see the Sparks, and they're still doing the same thing. They play the Fever lights out every time. The most popular team in the league, the one that everybody's paying attention to, even when Caitlin's not playing, because we've grown an attachment to a lot of her teammates. But they otherwise, like, they got smoked by the Valkyries. They just keep having these bad losses, and it just shows that they're a team that basically picks and chooses when they're going to go out there and play. And those games are usually the Fever games. So it just says a lot about Kelsey Plum as a person, as a competitor. Like I said, when this is one of your superstars of the league, it's not a good thing. And obviously the way she treats fans is pathetic. So not a good. It's just really, things are just really falling apart, it seems like, for the WNBA, or getting worse, I should say. I'm looking at Marina Mayberry, now that there's all this talk about the video I talked about earlier about possible civil rights investigations and the government getting involved in the WNBA for the treatment of Caitlin Clark. Now, again, I'm going to be completely transparent. I don't want to see the government waste our tax money on that, unless it's going to cause Angel Reese to have to testify on Capitol Hill, because that's a train wreck that we just won't be able to turn away from. But even that, I don't want to see us waste our money on that. We waste a lot of money anyway, so I guess if we're going to waste any, may as well waste it on that comedy show. But just, it's almost seems they're in panic mode, because I know Marina Mayberry is kind of trying to backtrack, but giving a non-apology. And again, with her, you can just kind of see her overall lack of likability and just lack of awareness. She did say she overreacted, but she also defended herself, saying, well, in the playoffs, Caitlin sent me into the front row, third row, or the photographers or something, going for a loose ball. Well, there's the key. If you're going for a loose ball, sometimes stuff happens. She just ran up and body checked her with her wide childbearing hips, right up to Caitlin's, and just knocked her over when she was, trying to, scatter away, and because she's got poked in the eye. Her teammate, J.C. Sheldon, who's the property of Sophie Cunningham, I don't know if anybody saw that or not. Just, like I said, the fact that I'll say it again, the fact she's a starter in the WNBA shows that this league does not need to expand. They need to contract. So some of these teams are a little bit close to each other. Maybe they need to merge. I would say merge the Fever and the Sky, but just get rid of the Sky, to be honest with you. That's a trash organization. But so in her interview, she's like, well, I just saw my teammate being hit. Well, she didn't talk about, the fact J.C. Sheldon poked her in the face and ran right up to her and bumped into her just to try to irritate her, which is Bush League shit. And then, Caitlyn kind of like threw her arm up to say, get away from me. And she just ran over there and body checked her. So, so there's a little bit of panic now because they're like, oh, if these feds get involved and look at this. But that's the WNBA. They do this whole, we're a physical league. There's a lot of physicality. That's words they're hiding behind. Physical is a word they're hiding behind. It's a bunch of players with no emotional control, and they're using this as an excuse to go out there and not have any emotional control, to do these just acts that do not need to be done anywhere, especially on a professional sports court. I know it can be, the traditional word of physical, but that's not physicality. That's just a league full of Vontaze Burficts and Patrick Beverleys, just being able to act on those emotions and knock people around. We've seen Asia Wilson do it, and seen one of the Agumales do it, and it's just that's not sports. Basketball is supposed to be about skill. I mean, yes, there does have to be some physicality and toughness to it, but not to this level. This level's pathetic. And the fact that they're doing that is, I don't know what makes them think that's okay. And until the WNBA steps in and starts, reviewing some of these plays and handing out some pretty stiff suspensions and, fines relative to their salary, we're just gonna keep seeing it. And it's just, like I said, it's the league's really showing itself this year. They've had it. You can kind of give them a little bit of grace for last year, for 27 years before that. They completely irrelevant. Nobody cared. All they could really do was activism. That's the only way they could get attention. And Caitlin Clark shows up, and suddenly everybody's looking at them overnight. They got all these eyes on them. So, you can give them a little bit of, leeway and grace on that one. But this year they knew. And this year they've actually acted worse somehow. So, and like I said, at some point, the adults in the room, I know I've said that in about 1 million of these videos, but the adults in the room have to step in and say, no, we're not doing this. You do this, there's going to be steep consequences as far as, not being able to play and losing the game checks for those games. Because, it's just, you're not going to sustain an audience. And right now, the WNBA is not going to sustain this audience. We're very, very enthralled with Caitlin Clark, and we're going to stick around for a while to watch her, but like I said, if she keeps getting hurt and the league just continues to be unbearable, eventually we're going to tune out. They're going to be right back where they were. They're going to get their big CBA and get paid, and the owners are going to be, stuck paying them a lot of money for them to produce nothing as usual. And that might be the point where the owners all bail out and file for bankruptcy and absolve themselves of any financial losses, and women's basketball, the WNBA as we know it, fades and ceases to exist. So we'll have to see, because like I said, it's kind of a bleak state, honestly. Who knows, maybe Caitlyn will come back and set everything on fire, and once again everything will be right with the world. That's how it seems to go sometimes, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's see how the game goes tonight, at least tonight. Have to check. And like I said, you'll just have to see where this goes. I don't know if the government's actually going to do anything. Maybe they just wanted to see the WNBA sweat. If they did, that's a grade A troll move by them. So, thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you later.